All right, day 7 in the books. Got some really good situational stuff in the 2-minute drill. Had really some lively play-up periods. Offense hit some explosive plays. Young guys got a lot of really good work. Thought our special teams periods were crisp today. Very pleased with what took place. So I thought it was a very productive practice. I think it was smart for us to back off a little bit yesterday. You'll see the same thing tomorrow. Friday we'll be on the grass. Basically a helmets-only practice. And kind of just sharpening the saw, getting ready for that first unveiling of kind of actual real football on Saturday. Saturday's format will be partially practice, partially scrimmage. So the front half will be trying to get some work on some things that we want to get some work on and get some tape on some special teams things and maybe some situational stuff. And then the second half, we'll just let them play football. We'll have a pitch count on the veterans. You'll see some guys that'll maybe not even go. Really, the emphasis is more to see what the young guys can do. And so we'll turn those guys loose and let them do their thing. So with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions.
That's still going to be closed on Saturday, right?
It is a closed scrimmage, yeah. Our second scrimmage will be open. Our first scrimmage is closed.
With respect to the timeline that you had set for the quarterback decision, is that still realistic to get that?
Yeah, we had a discussion about that in our staff today, and I think obviously we got to let it play out. I think keep an open mind and see what goes on, certainly today, tomorrow, and Saturday, and have a discussion on Sunday and see if we feel like we're ready to make a decision. I would like to do that. I think that's what's best for our team, but certainly that it's got to be warranted.
Can you give a fresh evaluation? It's been at least a couple days since we.
I mean, yeah, like 2 whole days. So, yeah, I think it's a very tight competition. It's very level. When you start looking at the statistical part of it, there's some guys that have some advantages here and there, but some of that you got to equate it by. Was the 7-on-7 period? Was it a live period? Was it a team period? Those types of things do have an impact, but that consistency should be present. And so it's going to be. I think the most true test is going to be Saturday, because we're going to try to mix and match those guys. They'll each get opportunities to roll with the ones, against the ones, roll with the twos, against the twos. We may make them live, which you don't do very often, but I think we need to see how these guys are going to respond when bullets are flying for real. And then sit back and evaluate it. So, do I have my mind made up right now? The answer is no. I'm very open-minded going into this Saturday and seeing where things fall. And I'm hopeful that there's a clear choice for us to make. But if there's not, we're going to continue to move forward in the way that we have.
Once the choice is made, how open will it be to you once the season starts?
Well, it's a next man up mentality, regardless of what position you play. I mean, probably one of the most prepared guys on the entire roster has to be the number 2 quarterback, because at any moment that guy becomes the guy. It's not like he's going in to cover a kick for somebody or play Sam linebacker to get you out of the game. I mean, he becomes the focal point of the offense, and so the expectation is that whether you're the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, or the 5, you're preparing as if you're going to be the 1.
What's the potential for the Braden Conville, Choate Allen combination of safety?
Yeah, I think it's got a chance to be really good. I think they both bring different skill sets. I think Quay's got tremendous ball skills. He displayed that last year. Very fluid athlete, runs really well. Braden is a physical force, long, rangy, one of the best open field tacklers in the league. I've said that year in and year out. I think people are starting to pay attention to that now. And I think both of them have improved in terms of their level of communication and understanding of the defensive scheme as a whole. And I give some credit to Coach Kane and Coach Kyle for that. But I also give them credit because they've taken ownership and taken the next step in terms of their preparation. And so their ability to control the communication in the back end, make sure that everybody's on the same page so we're not having blown coverages, combined with their ability to attack the ball in the air and get the ball on the ground when it's on the ground, I think those are some pretty special attributes.
Why do they complement each other so well when they playing side by side?
Yeah, I think again, Braden's more of a vocal, physical guy, and Quay's more of a very much an innate player. I mean, he's just got a great feel for the game and really plays the ball well in the air, and so he's a little bit better of a post safety in a lot of ways. And Braden's a guy that we can plug into the box or sink into the boundary of the field based on the defensive call. Has played a lot of linebacker, so he's very comfortable in that role, and so that's an easy deal for us.
What about JoJo Henderson and Damian Washington, guys like that?
Yeah, I actually think JoJo Henderson has had one of the best camps out of anybody in the back end. And I say that, really with a lot of admiration for that guy, just because I think he's worked harder this year than he's ever worked going into his senior year. And he will have a huge role for us in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Damian rolls with the ones. He's a guy that I kind of lean on. He's a guy that's really smart, and I'm not just talking about the football part of it, but he sees a lot of things, and he's been around the programs really since I got here. And he's a guy that I'll call in my office and say, "What are you seeing, Dame? What do you think about this? What's going on here?" And he's super valuable to me in that regard. I have a ton of respect for the kid. And so I really like both of those guys, and I know that they're going to have a huge, significant role for us on this team.
I know Lance McCutcheon impressed you early. What have you seen from him through fall camp, and what's maybe the next step for him in this game?
Yeah, I think that he's continued to do the things that we challenged him to do in the spring, which is to go attack the ball in the air. Not every ball is going to be a perfect throw, and you're going to have to win some of those 50-50 balls. And as a 6'3", big-bodied receiver, he's got the skill set to do that. And that was something that he struggled with his first couple of years, and I've seen that growth. And so I really commend him for taking that honest feedback and working on his weaknesses, and that has shown up repeatedly throughout fall camp. And his role will expand accordingly. I think he's a great red zone target for us. He's an excellent blocker. He's a smart kid, so he's going to be in the right place at the right time and be accountable.
Is he the kind of kid that can respond to that kind of challenge? Like you had mentioned that you wanted to challenge him. Do you think he's?
I think that's always interesting to find out, because you never know. I mean, they're going to respond in a couple of ways, right? They're either going to internalize it as a negative, and they're going to go in the tank, or they're going to internalize it as a challenge and an opportunity to improve. And so when you do that, you have the opportunity to get better, and he did that, and so I commend him for that.
Shane Driscoll here from R&R CatCast. Is there a player or a unit, you mentioned JoJo Henderson has had a really good camp, that has really impressed you with their level of effort or focus during fall camp so far?
We actually talked about this last night at our team meeting. One of the things I've been the most impressed about is that pride, that unit pride, those standards within each individual unit has been exceptionally high. And so there's really, with each unit trying to press one another to be the best one, so to speak, that's been awesome to see. And I point out the DBs as a very improved unit in that regard. I think Coach Frazier's done an awesome job with the wide receiver. I mean, they had me coaching them the last 7 games of the year last year. So, clearly they're getting better coaching now. And he's done an awesome job of really bringing detail to that room. And I see growth in that room. The defensive line has kind of been the standard for us. They haven't slipped. The linebackers have upped their game. Coach McGee's got those, so that's what I'm seeing. Everybody's got their own ceiling, right? And everybody's starting at a different spot. But if they're all pushing to be their best, which is what I'm seeing, that gives you an opportunity to be a good football team. And I've been really pleased with that.
Coach Erickson, he would have been the head coach at Idaho when you were growing up.
Yeah.
In that area, right? But so how far back do you go with him just in the coaching business?
Well, probably the first time that I really started to know who Coach Erickson was about my second year at Boise State. He was at Arizona State, and they'd had one of the top, I think they led the defense, Pac-12 in defense that year. They had a defensive coordinator named Craig Bray, and who's actually lives kind of out in southwest Montana, fly fishing now. And so Coach Krakowski and I went down and spent some time with Coach Bray, and I got to talking to Coach Erickson. He's an unbelievably generous guy with his time, and just a gentleman, so I mean, and we had so many things in common with the Montana connection, and even though it was kind of, on the other side of the street, so to speak, with him being a Bobcat and the guys that I'd worked with primarily being Grizzlies, it was immediate connection. And then obviously as he was, at Idaho, we crossed paths. We actually, in his last game at Arizona State, we played them in a bowl game when I was at Boise State, so we spent some time with him at bowl events that week. And then when I got the job, he was one of the first guys to reach out and wish me luck and let me know that if there's anything I need, or somebody, some advice, some a sounding board, whatever it was. And he's just an awesome guy, and he takes a tremendous amount of pride in being a Bobcat. And really this place gave him a lot because Jim Sweeney kind of allowed him to launch his coaching career. And it's prolific what the man did. I pointed out to our players at the end, this guy won 3 Pac-12 Coach of the Year awards with 3 different teams in basically 3 different decades. That says everything about his ability to reach and coach multi-generations of young men. And he did that at Arizona State, Washington State, and Oregon State, not traditional Pac-12 powers. When he had that type of talent, when he was at Miami, he won 2 national championships. So, obviously it's well documented what his history and tradition is as a college coach, but I think the awesome thing is this is where his heart is. And so it's really cool to have him around the program.
Is there, you can sort of learn from him? You mentioned maybe some advice he might have given you.
Yeah, I hope I can learn from everybody. I learn from my own mistakes. I think you've got to continue to grow. That's what life is all about. And You know, we all, in the coaching profession, we're always sharing ideas, whether that's scheme or now as a head coach, more psychology, practice structure, organization, things like that. Certainly he's a guy that I feel like I can learn a lot from, and I do reach out to him periodically about things.
You remember him being the head coach at Idaho?
Oh yeah. I mean, you had, I mean, the quarterback was a guy named Kenny Hobart from Kamiah, Idaho, okay, and he was the head coach. And really, what they were famous for, if you really followed football, and this was the thing that I thought was awesome about Coach Erickson. I was told this as a young coach: become an expert on something, so that people come to you when they want to know how to do something. Well, one back run game and quick passing game, the 90 series passing game. A lot of the innovation of the spread one-back game was from Coach Erickson, through Jack Elway and some other people. I know he's a humble guy. He's not going to take all the credit for it, but that's what he became known for, and that kind of launched his career as this, you know, kind of generationally kind of one of those guys to go see about that style of offense, and that led to his career really taking off. And so, yeah, I mean, they had prolific offenses. I mean, this guy won, 2 or 3 Big Sky Championships here as a player?
Oh, 3.
3 Big Sky Championships here as a player. Won a Big Sky Championship as a coach at the University of Idaho. You know, so I mean, he's got a lot of roots in this part of the world.
With the Boise State connection, has Coach Matt Miller been able to take an opportunity to kind of pick the brain of Kellen Moore at all, or just kind of exchange ideas with him?
Yeah, well, you know, Matt and Kellen are very good friends and former teammates, and so yeah, Matt went down to Dallas in the spring, as did Nate Potter, and they spent about a week down there. Nate met with Doug Nussmeier, former Idaho quarterback, ironically enough, who's the tight ends coach for the Cowboys, and then Matt spent time with Kellen, and it was good for him, I think, for both of them actually, I think, because they're both about the same age, sharing ideas about, you know, having this responsibility, even though one's with the Cowboys, one's with the Bobcats. Well, like I tell all the recruits, hey, we are the Dallas Cowboys in Montana, so you know there are some parallels.
That's kind of a fast track for Kellen Moore, isn't it? Coaching wise.
That's the trend, you know, that's the trend. And he can handle it. He's a very bright guy. Good?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.